concerned are you? Let's start with Ukraine first, because that's been in the headlines. How concerned are you about a default situation there and the spillover effects to its neighbours?
Well, the political situation in Ukraine is obviously extremely volatile, and if they cannot form a government, it also looks very difficult for the West and for Russia, indeed, to step in and prevent a disorderly default. So a default is certainly a risk. When it comes to the impact of such a default, we have to keep in mind that the Ukrainian economy is actually very small. Despite the huge size of the country, it's actually smaller than Ireland or Portugal, and its public debt is even smaller. It's probably 0.3% of Eurozone GDP. So even a complete default would certainly not derail the Eurozone financially.
Okay, so let's just be clear. If they form a government after the May elections, then there is no need for any risk of a disorderly default, is what you're saying?
Indeed, if a government is formed in one way or another, then the international community, the IMF, the EU, the Russians certainly have all the means disposable to prevent at least a disorderly default. It could still be an orderly default where some of the creditors might have to take a haircut. But again, because of the relatively small numbers, the wider impact, financial impact, should be relatively limited.
Okay, Christian, let's focus on Germany now. We had bullish GfK numbers. Slightly bearish domestic demand data from Germany yesterday. Which should investors read more into?
Well, the truth is probably somewhere in between the two. Of course, German consumers have lots of reasons to be happy. Unemployment is very low, employment is very high, wages broadly are rising, prices are stable, and the uncertainty of the Eurozone crisis is gradually fading. So the fundamental outlook for German consumption is extremely strong, and we have to keep in mind that the ECB, with its extremely low interest rates, is boosting the prospects even. On the other hand, there is still that delayed impact of the Eurozone crisis. We have had 1.5 years of stagnation in Germany since the middle of 2011. Now things are picking up, but wages and the labor market are a lagging indicator, and we still see some of that impact coming through. In particular, it seems that bonus payments at the end of last year were less than what they usually are, so that may have weighed on consumption towards the end of last year. We expect consumption to be growing moderately and be an important driver of German growth in 2014, and things to accelerate from here on onwards, so that consumption should be a bedrock of German growth for coming years.